Hello, everyone, and welcome to this new episode of Technology and AI Vantage, which is a series of thought leadership around technology and innovation in aging services. My name is Majd-Alwan. I'm your host, and I'm this founder and CEO of Alwan AI Vantage, which is a company that focuses on advancing and helping the aging services sector better understand, plan for, and implement different kinds of technologies, including AI, to improve their operations, efficiencies, and growth, and of course, quality of care for the older adults, and the reduce the burdens and on the staff. So today, it's my pleasure to welcome an innovative leader from the UK, Kevin Humphrys, who is the CEO of Oakland Care Group in the UK, where I did my master's degree and my PhD. So welcome, Kevin.
Thank you very much, Matt. It's lovely to be here. A pleasure.
Thank you so much. So let's get started by letting the audience know a little bit about the Oakland Care Group, your company, and also about yourself and your role that you play there. And then we will dive into some of the innovations that you've seen and implemented, some of the trends that you're seeing, how you're using technology to address daily challenges and getting you ready for the future.
Yeah, of course. Well, thank you, Maj. So I've been in the social care sector now for 15, nearly 16 years. And I came into the industry actually by accident somewhat because I'd been in management for a while and had been doing some turnaround projects when I was asked if I could help with a turnaround project for a charity. And it was a social care charity delivering care into people's homes to allow those who were caring for them informally to be able to have some time away, a bit of respite. But unfortunately, the organization wasn't doing very well. It was losing money and it needed to merge 5 offices into one organization. That was a bit of a baptism of fire into social care. That really was. I didn't know it was going to be quite so complicated, admittedly. I learned so much about social care. And I also felt the value of being in social care. Up until that point, I'd been making money for people that probably already had plenty. And this was so different because this was really making a difference to people's lives. And I remember somebody saying to me once, very, very early on, you make my mother feel as though she's seen again. And that had a huge impact on
Wow,
me. And I
that's
felt
so
like this
powerful.
is a real change from anything I've done before, and it's really valuable and worthwhile. So that was my first step into social care. Thereafter, I've been doing lots of different parts of social care, from sort of nursing homes, dementia homes, rehabilitation, acquired brain injury, and so on. And 4 years ago, I came into Oakland Care Group, and I've come with experience of larger organizations and smaller organizations. Oakland Care Group is a small family-owned organization. It has just 2 care homes. And what that means is that what we do is much more personal. We're able to be responsive to everything that happens in the care homes. People know me, they see me all the time, and therefore I get feedback, and then we can respond. And I feel like we've benefited from the experience that I've had in the larger care homes, from governance and policy and so on, but also in the agility that being a smaller care home organization gives us.
Yes, absolutely. When you're in a smaller organization, you're a lot more nimble and agile. You can make changes, whereas in larger organizations, you always have those corporate rules and governance structures that making decisions and acting upon these decisions, more importantly, are really time consuming, right? They take a long time.
Very
So
much.
over the past 15 years that you've been in social care, what are some of the major trends that you're seeing? Again, what are some of the challenges that you've seen, and how did you sort of address some of these challenges through technology and AI and innovation?
So there's a lot of challenges within the social care industry. One of the trends that we're seeing, which is projected to continue the way it is now and has been going for some time, is the fact that we are having a much older population, and the needs of those people who are getting older are greater because they've got greater longevity, but with longevity comes with comorbidities, and so we're seeing greater needs, and we're seeing medical creep as well, where in the care sector we're being asked to do more and more things that years ago would have been considered the realms of clinical or medical care. That's one of the trends that we're seeing. But that does mean that residents in care homes or living in their own home that are receiving care are much more frail and fragile and more likely to suffer from a fall. And if they suffer from a fall, they're more likely to come to greater harm because of their fragility. And that's one thing that we have actually addressed, and quite successfully. Um, though I never think our work is done. I still think there's always more to be done. So we're on a journey, but we've taken a really good step. So we have a system in our care homes, and it's called a Nobi light system. And what it basically does, it's a ceiling light. Um, that has built-in AI. It's connected to the internet. It's in a secure environment. And what happens is has cameras in it that have a 360 view of the room. It's it manages privacy very well because it only takes a photograph of the layout of the room when there's nobody in the room. And then when somebody's in the room, it tracks them, representing them as a stick figure. So you never see the person in the room themselves, but you're able to see what's going on with them through the stick figure. And if they fall, the AI phones the home and connects the home, the person that answers the call, with the resident in their room, and they have a conversation, something along the lines of, have you fallen? If there's no answer, well, we go straight to them. If they answer, yes, I have, we go straight to them. And if they answer, no, and sometimes we do get, no, I was picking something up from the floor, and it's been mistaken.
Yeah, it was a false alert, false positive alert.
Absolutely. And
Yep,
sometimes
yep.
we get
Which are
that,
common with
particularly,
yeah,
we get it with housekeeping when they're cleaning. Sometimes they forget to hit the snooze. We have a snooze button. You can hit the snooze button and it gives you 15 minutes. So sometimes they forget to hit the snooze button, or the 15 minutes as timed out. And then
yep,
because they're on the floor in some description, it gives a false alert. But when we do get an alert, it means that we're getting to those residents after a fall within 2 minutes. Whereas previously, if somebody didn't have their call bell on them, and they'd fallen, it would be just dependent upon when somebody next popped in to check on them. And some residents we check on every 30 minutes, some every hour, but some we don't check on very often because they're very independent.
yep,
And so therefore it might have been a while, and that might have actually caused them some significant harm. So this system actually means that we are answering any falls within a very, very quick period of time and makes us very responsive. We're also training the AI, to be responding to when residents stand so that if they stand up from their bed, it lets us know, not an alert, but just a notification through our nurse call messaging service, just to let us know that they've stood, so we can go and check on them, make sure they're okay, particularly for those for whom traditionally we might have used a pressure sensor mat. So it means that we know they've got up and we're able to go and assist them.
And they've been evaluated and assessed and identified as a potential fall risk, right?
100%.
Previously, and that's why you, yeah. Okay, great. That sounds fantastic. I'm familiar with Nobi, and I'm familiar with other sort of similar technologies. I've worked on some of them, actually developing some of them myself, and I advised a couple of companies here in the US that have similar technologies as well. So that's fantastic. So what are some of the other challenges and that are remaining, and what are you doing about them, or what are you exploring potentially? So again, fall detection is great, but I firmly believe that fall prevention is actually better. And there are ways to this day and age with AI to be able to identify people who are at risk of falling, even up to 30 days before before their even first fall incident. So are you exploring some of these technologies or some of these approaches?
Yeah, so one of the things that we had an issue with is, over the years, regulation has become a significant burden on social care providers. And that means that a lot of the whole management teams are spending a huge amount of time doing administration. But one of the things that we did was we've actually got an AI system that has agents within that system that we have trained, so that we can use it for a number of different aspects of administration that improve the outcomes, improves consistency, and actually reduces the time. I'll give you an example. A care plan would have taken about 4 hours. Now it takes about 20 minutes. We've got all the right protections in there. So there's always a human in the loop, usually two. So there's a person who actually is using the secure system to compose it. And what we use is we use all of the data we have on the resident, and then that's uploaded, and then specific parameters are in the agent, so they know exactly what it is that we want. They go through it, make sure it's appropriate, make any changes, and then finally it's signed off by the manager of the home to ensure that it has been seen by at least 2 humans. And this particular system is really helping with reducing time. And similarly, we use it for other tasks, and for example, risk assessments and so on. But following up on what you mentioned, what we can actually do with that is put in all of the data that we have and ask it to tell us through an analysis and trends exactly who in our residents are at most risk of a fall. And then from that, we can assess those risks. We can then create an action plan. And this is done all by the AI, giving us some really good concrete things. We've been doing this for years, so we know most of it. But the AI still comes up with some really good ideas that supplement what we would have done previously. So it's been an absolutely fantastic tool for us. And it means that things like, for example, we notice somebody is getting to the stage where they are more frail and they're more likely to have falls. So we ensure that we put a Nobi light in their room. We make sure that we put an action plan around those sort of actions, which we might not have done without this system being in place.
Exactly. That's the value of being able to utilize AI and machine learning and building those predictive models, right? To not only put I look at Nobi and other fall detection systems as the safety net, right? But there could be sort of additional preventive interventions, like reviewing their medications and seeing which ones are have side effects that are increasing their fall risk, potentially, or identifying a sort of lower extremity mass that requires more exercises or even physical or occupational therapy, right? To potentially stave off and sort of reduce their risk of falling. That's fantastic. So let's talk about, are there any remaining challenges that you don't have a solution for, that if you had a sort of a wish like Aladdin's lamp, right? To rub and get a and get a genie to sort of solve for you. What would some of those be, or
No, I
if
think,
you name even one?
yeah, I know. I could probably think of a few. So it would be really productive, and really improve the delivery of care at the bedside. Because all of our staff, I think it's quite common these days, have a handheld device.
Yep.
And that handheld device tells them when something is due, some kind of interaction. It also means that they can record that interaction in the moment. Brilliant stuff, absolutely fantastic for care recording. However, what would be a real gem is if in that moment AI was in that system giving information, suggestions, and observations directly to the care practitioner that was at the bedside, telling them things like it would be useful to ensure that their observations are done. It would be the appropriate time to offer them a drink. Um, they had a terrible night's sleep. Just observations that the AI would know about and would be able to point out to the person at the bedside at that point in time. The care recording system is fantastic nowadays. We don't go away and write it down. We do it there and then. So we should be able to have the AI right there assisting with really, really good intelligence about that resident to make improvements.
So, sort of decision support and coaching at the
Yep.
point of care or at the bedside. And I think
Yes.
we are moving towards these types of systems, again, because I know there are a lot of clinical decision support systems where the human is still in the loop, but they make good suggestions for them, reminding them to ask certain questions, to dig deeper, and based on the responses from the resident or the patient, they will make the right next recommendation or decision in terms of care. That's great. So you mentioned that this organization is a small organization, like two homes. What are some of your growth sort of goals for the next 6-12 months? And what are you doing in terms of sort of trying to get there?
So I think what we've done in the short term is we've invested in our current properties. So and that's making a huge difference, which is wonderful. So we've invested in pretty much, I'd say, not just properties. We've invested in our staff. We've designed a whole new career structure and for development of our staff. We've increased salaries, and also we've increased the utilization of AI. But also when it comes to properties, we've been refurbing the whole homes
It never
so that
ends.
they look. Oh, it never ends, but they look beautiful. Every room is almost nearly every room yet, but will do have a wet room, so that it is at one level access, giving the residents much more freedom, much more independence, so they can be supported still, but actually, get themselves to do their own ablutions where possible. So we've actually that's been a focus of ours, including actually upgrading all our fire systems and fire stopping. So when it comes to growth, we are certainly very keen on acquiring a third home. And we're looking at doing that in probably, once I have finished all of our wet rooms, which is a good sort of maybe 12 or 18 months away from that. But I think because where we are at the moment, I feel like we're doing exceptionally well. And it would be really good to have a new home in which we could share everything that we do with another home and bring all of those great practices and learnings that we've had.
Best practices.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, that would be amazing. That would be amazing.
That's great. That's great. That's fantastic. So let me ask you about this. So your focus is more on care homes, but we also know that research, at least on the surface, right, shows that older adults and maybe even their caregivers prefer to stay in their own homes, right? So the what's known as the aging in place, or
Yeah.
I like to call it aging in place of choice, because again, they may choose to move into a care home because that's where they can establish or sort of maintain some socialization activities that they do not get to have if they stay in their own home isolated, right? So
Yeah.
yes, they're independent, but they're probably socially isolated, and we all know the negative consequences of social isolation, which amounts to smoking 15 cigarettes a day, right? So are you considering, or do you currently, or are you considering sort of creating or expanding into delivering home care out in the communities around, especially around sort of your care homes themselves, leveraging the staff, the skills, and the tools, and the processes, right, that you have established, the best practices, and maybe reaching out to people in their own homes if they do not, either cannot afford to move into your communities, or would still rather prefer to remain in their own homes.
So we did actually consider that as an option, and we've taken a slightly different approach. So I think with our experience, while some people benefit from remaining in their own homes, undoubtedly, I think that what we tend to see in the care home is people can remain both independent and also have a social life, a circle of friends, and activities to keep them stimulated. So we've done something slightly different. So what we've done is we've opened our homes up to the community more. So we
Right.
offer opportunities for people to come in on all sorts of occasions. So they can come in just for a few hours, they can come in for the whole day. And we've also we're looking at a new system at the moment. It's part of the NICE approved therapy for dementia, cognitive stimulation therapy. And so we're actually looking at, hopefully in the coming weeks, is starting to deliver this CST, this cognitive stimulation therapy, to our residents, because it is applicable for anybody at any stage of dementia. And we can offer it also in the community. So we can bring people from the community in so they can actually come into our home. They can be part of that warm embrace and environment that we offer, whilst also benefiting from a really stimulating session of CST, which is proven over a 7-week period to reduce the onset of dementia symptoms, and improve the cognitive ability of those who take part. So we kind of feel like what we need to do is, rather than go out to individuals, is outreach to individuals so that they could come in and join. Because one of the things that we offer, which I feel is so important, is that social aspect. And lots of people that
Yes.
come to us, um, they gain a whole new lease of life simply by being around people all the time. They're not relying on that phone call from their son, a few towns away, every day. They
Yep.
have a life of their own, and they regain their independence in the care home as a person, as an individual.
Excellent. Excellent. That's great. I kudos. I like this. I've seen examples of retirement communities and senior housing with services adopting similar models by having either opening their activity rooms, their pools, their gyms, or even having a clinic on site, a geriatric clinic on site, and maybe even a rehab center on site, and reaching out to the community. Are you doing any sort of advertising for this in terms of
No,
outreach?
so we will, absolutely, we will. So we're looking at, so there has to be, because it's a therapy. The staff members have to be trained and certified. So we're waiting for that to happen. But
Okay.
once that has happened, yeah, we're going to go all in, and we will certainly be advertising. We actually have real great connections within the community.
That's
We're well
fantastic.
known. So it'll be very easy, I think, for the right people to hear about this through our connections with care home matrons, with the GP surgeries, and I think we've also got some really good connections with community groups, bowling groups, and things like that. So we'll be able to ensure that the right people get to hear about this opportunity. But we also have a mailing list with our newsletter every month,
Of
and we
course.
always keep people appraised of what's going on, whether they've been to us once for respite, whether they've had a family member with us previously, or whether they've just signed up to our newsletter. And we always invite them to all of our events so that everybody knows exactly what's going on. And we're very keen to get the community in.
Excellent. Excellent. Great. Let's close by. What advice do you have for other providers, especially when it comes to technology and AI? And a lot of people are, sometimes apprehensive, right?
Mm.
And
Yeah.
again, I'm an advocate of using the appropriate technology for the appropriate problem, and keeping the human in the loop, and keeping this care as a heartfelt, high touch care, which as it's supposed to be, right? But at the
Yeah.
same time, utilize as much technology and tools to squeeze out all the possible efficiencies and cost effectiveness benefits. So what advice do you have to other providers, maybe who are sitting on the fence and thinking about technology?
I think that there are a lot of providers who are sitting on the fence somewhat, and I think sometimes that becomes, stifling their progress. And I do understand it, because obviously you don't want to take risks with people's data, or with regulatory inspections. So I do understand that, but I think the way I would suggest going about it is to have a look at what your pain points are. What are the issues that you have, and then look at how some AI solution can address that for you. Start small. Look at the right governance in place. Make sure there's a good policy,
Yep.
procedure, and risk assessment. Make sure there's always a person in the loop, and always think about technology as being, it should one it should relieve a pain point. Two, it should reduce friction. And three, it should present more time to your team members so they can spend that doing the thing that you're there to do, which is be with those individuals for whom we're providing care.
Yep.
So I think those, for me, those are the main things. And I think explore and start small. Just start small. Don't try and implement some great big AI solution all in one go, but start small with one pilot project so that you can start to feel comfortable. And then you can reflect on that and review to make sure that you're happy that it is in a governed environment. You have got all the fail safes in place. There are still people in the loop. It's GDPR compliant. All those wonderful things.
Great. That's great advice. I would add to that, sort of make sure you emphasize that your team, and especially your frontline caregivers, understand
Mm.
that this is a tool that is there to help them alleviate some of these pain points. It's definitely not a replacement for these caregivers.
Oh,
Otherwise, they're going to be sort of adamant to make it fail,
yeah.
frankly. And
No, you're
I've
absolutely
seen
right.
examples of that
Yeah.
time and time again here when it's not sold appropriately.
I think you're right. I think one of the phrases is it's to augment human care, not replace it. And I think that, I mean, that
Absolutely.
sums it up. I mean, you're absolutely right, because it isn't to replace any people. It's actually to provide that support and assistance so that the people can be with people, which is what we're all about.
And it allows the care staff to perform at the top of their qualifications. Frankly, makes them feel a lot more empowered, a lot more knowledgeable, and a lot more efficient, and hence a lot more valuable to the organization and to the care recipients, right? The older adults that they really care about. That's why they've come to this sector, because they care about older adults. Well,
Absolutely.
that's fantastic. Great. Thank you so much, Kevin. I will definitely tag you when we post this episode on LinkedIn, but where can people learn more about Oakland Care Group and yourself and the innovations that you have? What's your website?
Oh, yes. I mean, yeah, to learn more about us, if they visit us at oaklandcare.co.uk. There's lots of information on there. Also, you can find me on LinkedIn. I'm always happy to connect and to talk and to share ideas and best practices. So that would be fantastic to hear from people who have seen this podcast and felt inspired to get in touch.
Great. Thank you so much again, Kevin,
Thank you, Mike.
for taking this recording request, and I look forward to sharing the episode. I'm sure it's going to be sort of well received by the audience, and hopefully they will not only learn from your best practices, but start to practice them themselves.
Well, let's hope so. That would be an amazing response if that was the case. Thank you ever so much, Marsh. It's been a real pleasure.
The pleasure is all mine. Thank you so much, Kevin.